Futurama was a science fiction sitcom that was premiered in 1999 and was about a young boy who was cryogenically preserved for 1,000 years. He then had to survive in a futuristic world and learn how to cope with his new existence. In today's episode, we shall discuss deeply about the characters who featured in the film, from the aliens to the mutants and even to the humans living in the future, then later discuss everyone who took part in voicing the said characters and how old they've gotten after 26 years. And we shall start with Mr. Bender Bending Rodriguez, who was a bending unit created by a woman called Mom, who was the owner of MomCorp Industries. He became the best friend of Fry, who was the boy that traveled 1,000 years into the future. His body was sustained by alcoholic drinks, and he had to drink once in a while to recharge his robotic cells. He was a wasted dude with addictions like gambling, cigars, and also had no specific goal in life. In most of the series, Bender was mostly rude and selfish even to his best friend and coworkers, but was also nice especially when he wants something. He also used foul language and a dark sense of humor to cope with his loneliness. Voiced by John DiMaggio, who is one of the greatest voice actors in our generation. He has also voiced very many characters in Cartoon Network, and also voiced King Zog in Disenchantment. Zoidberg acted as the on-staff physician at Planet Express. He was born in a planet called Decapod 10, but later moved to Earth to become a comedian. But after his comedy career was trashed, he went on to practice medicine and was hired by Planet Express. He was a very confused fella, and was known to live in the dumpster just outside Planet Express. He was technically homeless and very poor, and this was because he was actually very bad at his job. He loved his friends and coworkers in the Planet Express, and was generally a chill dude to hang around with. He was voiced by Billy West, who also happened to voice Fry and Zap Brannigan in the same show. Kif Croker was an amphibiosan creature from a planet called Amphibios. He was a lieutenant to Zap Brannigan and also the boyfriend to a girl known as Amy. He was mostly a quiet guy and a really shy fella, and was a guy who really hated his job and his boss. Kif was roughly 24 years in Season 1, and was in his late 20s or early 30s when he gave birth to his babies. Morbo, on the other hand, was a green reptilian alien who worked on Earth as a newscaster. He always belittled humans and always wanted to conquer the planet when the right time came. He was married to a fawn and had numerous kids with her. Both these two characters were voiced by the famous Maurice LaMarche, a Canadian voice actor who is still the famous voice of Dizzy Devil in Tiny Toons and also Egon Spengler in The Real Ghostbusters. Turanga Leela was the captain of the Planet Express ship, and was known mostly to be a no-nonsense lady who took her job very seriously. Even though she had one eye like an alien, she was a mutant born by mutant parents living in the sewers. She also became the girlfriend of Fry, whom both had an on and off relationship due to their different personalities. She was good in hand-to-hand combat and could handle multiple people at once. She also used firearms and a weapon on her wrist as additional fighting gadgets when on dangerous missions. Voiced by Katie Seagal, who is not only an actress, but also an American singer and songwriter. She is also remembered for playing the role of Peggy Bundy in the show called Married with Children. And now to Hermes Conrad, who was a Jamaican bureaucrat and the accountant at Planet Express. He was afraid of failing and making mistakes because his job only wanted perfectionists, and any kind of mistakes would lead to him getting a lower grade. He was also known to be the best in doing the limbo, and was actually a world-class limboer in the Olympics before he joined the team. He was one of the most hardworking men in the series, and always cared about his job because he had a wife and son waiting for him at home. He was voiced by the iconic Phil Lamar, who is also the voice of Samurai Jack and Aquaman both in the Young Justice series and in the Injustice Gods Among Us video games. Amy Wong was another member of the Planet Express delivery service. She was the infamous girlfriend to Kif Croker who we discussed before, and they later engaged and even got married and had a few children together. When she was younger, she used to be obese due to her insatiable appetite, but would later lose all the weight when she controlled her food intake as an adult. She did the delivery service as a part-time job, and mostly focused as an engineering student at Mars University on planet Mars. The main reason the professor hired her was because she had the same blood type as him and wanted her to be his emergency blood bag when needed. She was voiced by Lauren Tom, who we also discussed in Kids Next Door, where she voiced Kooky Sambin, and is also known for voicing Susan Long in American Dragon. Carol Miller was better known as Mom. She was the evil chief executive officer of MomCorp, which was one of the largest industrial firms on Earth. She was so skinny and was about 120 years old, but she always wore a fat suit which made her look more loving and sweet. Most people loved her due to her motherly nature, but deep down she was a very cruel and intimidating woman who only cared about herself. She also had 3 sons who she always slapped when they didn't follow her orders. Her company produced most of the robots in the future, and was also responsible for creating Bender in Mexico. She was voiced by the beautiful Tress MacNeil, who is an American voice actress and also the voice of Agnes Skinner in The Simpsons. Scruffy was not seen as much, and was just the janitor in the Planet Express. He started off as a minor background character in the first seasons, but later became more prominent as the series progressed. Shockingly, he owned 40,000 shares of Planet Express because he had worked there for a long time and was the only person who strongly believed in the company. He was also a very lazy fella, and was mostly found in the basement reading magazines or taking naps in the middle of the job. He was the one who went to the stockholders' meetings because he was the one with the most shares of the company, but other than what we've discussed, Scruffy was rarely seen hanging out with the rest of the crew. It was David Herman who voiced him. He is an actor and comedian who has also voiced hundreds of episodes in Bob's Burgers and Brickleberry. Nibbler was a creature who existed since the beginning of time. We first saw him in Planet Vergen, where he was adopted by Fry and Leela just before the planet was destroyed. He was actually the one who pushed Fry into the cryogenic tube, which brought him 1,000 years into the future. He was kind of like a time-traveling god who tried to fix time and space, and was also the Lord of Eternium, where he was always referred to as Lord Nibbler. His poop was used as the source of dark matter for Planet Express, and Leela always treated him like an adorable pet without knowing who he really was. His few words and phrases were from the famous Frank Welker, who is an American voice actor and the iconic voice of Fred Jones in the Scooby-Doo franchise since 1969. There was this devil specifically for robots, and his name was Beelzebot. He was the Lucifer of droids and mechanical robots, and every bad and naughty robot would meet him in robot hell, where they would suffer for all eternity. His hell was, however, located in New Jersey in an abandoned amusement park called the Reckless Ted's Funland. He has been seen in multiple occasions, but his most iconic cameo was when he abducted Bender and took him to hell, but was later saved by Fry and Leela. He always made deals with people, kind of like how most people make deals with the devil. He was also not able to lie, and was again gifted with the same powers of Satan, example like magic and appearing from thin air. He was voiced by Dan Castellaneta, who is the famous voice of Homer Simpson in The Simpsons, and has also done 30 other characters in The Simpsons single-handedly. Other characters you may have seen in the show include